Well, once again, hi and howdy, folks. Welcome to Kempsford School and Dave Diggs History. I'm your host, Dave Diggs, and once again, it's just us, the visitors here and the visitors there. No children today, no school today, not for them. It's January and they have stuff to do. One of the things that's going to be important for them to do is prepare the soil for this year's crop. This year's crop being, for the most part, tobacco. This is tobacco country. And it's important that they do this work because that's how they earn their living. This is how I earn my living. Although at the moment, there's still no one here, except you folks. And I'm glad to see you. Glad that you've decided to come here and spend some time. Well, everybody's doing well. And if you're new to this channel, new to the school, welcome. Good to see you too. Hope to see you again in the future. And some likes and subscriptions would be appreciated, of course. I had mentioned in a previous episode that there is a lot more to the world than just this school right here. Walk outside the door, and it's a whole new another world. So I thought, well, maybe I should explain a few things about that. I had actually written something for some of the interpreters that I worked with. We had a great number of temporaries who worked only the seasons. Some of them were not professionally trained in the field of history, but they were mighty good. And on those days when I wasn't around because I was, let's say, off on vacation, or it wasn't my day to work, it was my day off, or I was working another site, I thought I'd leave them a little something to chew on so that they might be better briefed on what the world is like. And this is that something. And it's titled, Presented as an Introduction to the World of 1850 for New Hires, yada yada. There's quite a number of pages here. I am not going to read the entire thing. As much as I like numbers, and this is a lot of numbers, even my eyes would glaze over. So if you don't do numbers well, you might want to go have a cup of coffee, a donut, or something. But before you do that, even though there's a lot of numbers here, some of these numbers, and I'll point them out to you when we get there, are quite important to a story of something that happened to me years ago. Let's get right down to it. Okay, reading straight from what I prepared for them. The nation's population in 1850 is some 23 millions of people. The nation is 87% rural and 13% urban. Urban being defined as any community of at least 2,500 people. You don't have to take notes. There isn't going to be any test on this yet. And in 1850, there were 236 such communities, 2,500 or more at least, in the country. No city has 1 million population. The most populous city in the nation is, and you can probably guess what it is, it has about 500,000. Of course, that's New York City. Most communities fall in the 2,500 to 10,000 person range. More people live in Virginia than in the entire country west of the Mississippi River. That says something. I'll skip a few pages. It's all interesting, I think, but as I said, even I glaze over. Now, the most populated state, well, it's New York, 3.097 million people. The least populated state, that's Florida, 87,445. The most populated territory is New Mexico Territory. Population 61,547. The least populated territory is Minnesota Territory, and it's 6,077 people for the entire territory. Now, the most populated city is New York, 516,000 people. Most populated southern city, New Orleans, with 116,000 people. We have 31 states by the end of the year. and the most recent state is California. They were admitted in September. There are 4 territories: Minnesota Territory, Oregon Territory, New Mexico Territory, and Utah Territory. Those last 2 were admitted into the Union as territories in 1850. Their combined population, all 4 territories put together, 92,298. Education. This is a school. We do education here. 47.2% of all people ages 5 through 19 are in school. Agriculture. The nation has 1,449,000 farms and a total acreage 293.3 million acres. That's a lot of acreage. The total output, dollar value of the output of these farms in the entire nation is 3.9, just a hair shy of $4 billion. Now in 1850, that's a great deal of money. And milk cows, can't forget milk cows. Can't have milk without cow, or cream for your apple cobbler. 6.3 million cows, milk cows in the country. That's a lot. Gold and silver production. This is gold. 2,419,000 ounces of gold produced in 1850. That's up from 43,000 just 3 years ago. Silver is okay, 39,000 ounces. And some numbers which will come into play a little later as to their relevance. The wholesale price of wheat, 1 bushel of wheat, $1.27.5 per bushel. 100 pounds of flour, $5.55. Cotton per pound, 12 1/3 cents. This is an average. There's no such thing as a 1/3 coin back then. Wool per pound, 83 1/3 cents. Nails per 100 pounds. Per 100 pounds, $3.71. Turpentine per gallon, 33.4 cents. Coal per ton, $3.64. Butter per pound, 19.6 cents. 19.6 cents. Now, I'm going to skip a great deal of this because, like I said, eyes glaze over and all that. Go to the very last page because that's where we talk about money. Everybody wants to talk about money. And the 3 episodes that I did here on Dave Diggs History, the ones that were specific to money at the time, that got quite a number of likes. So, here we go with money. As for the personal, everyday economic level, the nation operates on a barter system. The federal government hasn't printed paper money since 1836. What bills that there are in circulation are printed by private concerns, and a great many are not worth the paper that they're printed on. Public distrust of paper money is very high. As far as coin money is concerned, there's not a lot of it around. Mint production is nowhere near demand. Consider this by the way of example. This I mentioned in one of the episodes of the coin series. Take the entire production of silver and copper coins produced in the decade of the 1840s. Assume that each coin is still in circulation in 1850, which in reality would not be true. People lose stuff. Take all these coins and distribute them equally amongst the population. The distribution will look like this. 2 people will share 3 cents. 2 people will share a half dime. Out of every 100 people, only 50 of them have a dime. 1 person in 3 has a quarter. 2 people will share 3 half dollars. And 1 person in 23 has $1. But that's the way it was in 1850. In my desk drawer right now, there are 19 quarters. That means I have as many quarters as any 57 people had in 1850. Most of the coin money in America will be found in the cities, which by nature of being a city, urban area, they're not going to do a lot of bartering there. The 87% of us who are rural will be trading chickens and sweet potatoes for a long time to come. Now, those important statistics, those numbers, that I said are going to be relevant to a story. It's the agricultural production, the wholesale price of butter, wheat, etc. Because here's what happened. Here's the story. This happened a lot of years ago, and it happened so many years ago, I don't recall where it happened, but I and my fellow interpreters were interpreting. That's what we did. And my gig, my little part was over. Until the next part happened, I'm going to lay down and just cover my head with my hat and maybe take a little bit of a snooze. Hopefully someone will wake me up and say, Dave, you're up in about 10. So I'm there. I'm not snoozing, but I'm listening to the people, the visitors who are coming through and asking questions. And I heard a question that really pricked up my ears. So I had to lift up my hat and look, what is going on over there? Two ladies, early 20s, I suppose, were asking some of my fellow interpreters a question. The question was, how often did the population of the country, or was it the world? I can't remember, and it's irrelevant. How many years did the population double? How many years did it take for the population to double? And of course, my fellow interpreters, they're stymied. That's not information we deal with. And rather than say, okay, well, thanks very much for trying, we'll go somewhere else, they stuck around. And they kept asking the same question a little bit differently each time, hoping to get a different answer. Well, the answer was always going to be, we don't know. And I debated, should I get involved in this or should I just mind my... No, no. A gauntlet's been tossed down. I got to get up. I got to take care of this little problem and set these people straight. So, here's what I told them. Hello, ladies. I understand you have a question. What's the question? They repeated the question. How often does the world's population, or nation, whichever it was, how often does it double? I said, well, first of all, we don't know and we don't care. And that's the reaction I got. What? No. Let me explain, please, ladies. We're portraying essentially here people at the lower end of the economic scale. Many of us are portraying farmers, laborers, people who earn a living from the soil, and we're not up in the realm of plantation owners or anything like that. Many of us, if this were the real thing, we're subsistence farmers, hardscrabble farmers. We grub to make a living. The information you're looking for to us would be completely irrelevant and useless. They did that again. So I just went on. The information that you're looking for doesn't do us any good at the time. It doesn't help us earn a living. Perhaps it might be interesting, perhaps, but really we're not concerned with those numbers. We want to know what's the wholesale price of wheat. How much can I get for my hogs this year? What am I going to be charged for butter? What am I going to sell my butter for? These are all numbers, and these are important. These determine the existence of the farm, and therefore the existence of me and my family. This is relevant information. What you're asking for really has about as much significance as a fart does to a whirlwind. And with that, they sauntered off. And everybody said, what was that all about? What were they asking that for? Well, I have no idea, but they're not asking it now. And it's about time to go and do our thing again. And speaking of time, yep, I don't know why I look. I'm pretty much used to the time by now. That was it for today. There will be more later. Years worth of material I have stockpiled, in case you're wondering. And for the moment, at any rate, appreciate you all being here. Glad to see you again. And hope that I can see you again in the future. With that, let me bundle myself up. It is January and it's cold out there. Still don't have an overcoat that I know of. Maybe somebody will take kind pity on me and make me one, or at least a show or something. And speaking of that, I'm going to have to ask someone to bring by some more firewood because I'm about out. But that's for another time. I have the honor, as always, to remain your most respectful and obedient servant, Dave Diggs, coming to you once again, as always, from a long time ago. We'll see you. Appreciate you coming.